Hello, everyone. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about lenses. This is a subject I haven't spoken on before, but I've studied lenses in all film and, for that matter, most digital formats for many years, and did a lot of optics study and so forth, and a lot of testing of lenses. Some of it really unnecessary. But I tend to not believe what manufacturers tell me, and I want to see it for myself. So I've done a good deal of testing of lenses as well. Well, today I want to talk about one I tested recently, and I consider it to be what I would call a sleeper lens. It gets very little attention. It's hard to find information about online, but I found it to be uh, in its genre quite a good lens, and that is the Nikon Nikkor 35 to 135 f3.5 to 4.5 zoom AIS lens. Now this is a manual focus lens. It's AIS, so it couples with all uh, uh, manual focused Nikon film cameras. Um, but not the digital cameras, and there might be a few film cameras, uh, amateur versions that it doesn't give full function with. I used it just yesterday on a D3300 digital camera, but it had to be used in full manual mode, both exposure and focus. It did give focus confirmation, although I don't know how accurately, and but everything had to be done manually, and also the camera would not engage the flash. It said you need a CPU lens to engage the flash, but what I found is that this lens is actually quite sharp, from especially from 35 to 105. From 105 to 135, it was still quite good, maybe not quite as sharp. Um, 3.5 to 4.5 is a little slow in some people's opinion, but most people end up shooting at 5.6 to 11 anyway. Uh, Whether they're doing it on auto, aperture priority, or manual, that those are generally the apertures they shoot at. A few people who just really want to limit depth of field or want to shoot in low light handheld a lot do need the faster lenses, but it's really hard to justify the price of the much faster lenses. You can go up right now, and for FX format, that is 35 millimeter format, not the reduced or APS, the uh, APS-C, DX, whatever format, such that a 50 is the normal lens in full format, and you can find oh 50 1.8 or something like that for, I don't know, maybe $100 or not much more, depending on what brand you're looking at and so forth. But by the time you get to a 51.2, it's a $500 or $600 lens, and uh, to me, it's really hard to justify the difference in the cost. Um, Same thing on some of the 28 1.4s that are, I don't know, $1,000 or something along these lines. Um, it's just hard to justify the extra cost. There was a thing that press photographers used to say, and I guess still say, that the most important things about doing press photography were F8 and be there. Uh, Self-explanatory. Anyway, this lens I think is a sleeper lens. The reason for it being called a sleeper is that it's a very good lens, gets very little attention. Most people don't know anything about it. And as Ken Wheeler says, his channel, it's Theoposis. You just put in Ken Wheeler. I don't know how it's thing is pronounced. It's something in Greek, but uh, Ken Wheeler does a lot of lens testing. He's a very knowledgeable guy, and he talks about these older all metal construction uh, Nikon AI lenses, and he says you can drive nails with them all night and shoot with them all day, and they really are very, very durable construction. If I compare this to current kit lens that I got with the D3300 that I mentioned a while ago, that's an 18 to 55 millimeter lens, about 28 to 87.5 or something like that millimeter equivalent. Um, that lens is actually sharper than this 35 to 105 is, at least at most focal lengths, um, but not a great deal sharper. A little bit, and it has better macro. This 35 to 135 is a little inferior on macro, uh, but that 18 to 55 is all plastic construction. Uh, I'd hate to bump it on anything. I mean, even wearing the camera around my neck with the strap, I feel like if I were to just swing around and bump that lens on something, it would probably break the plastic mount off of it. On the good side, it's fairly inexpensive to replace, but uh, this, I would actually be more concerned about it damaging the camera in the process if I bumped it. And on a pro camera, I don't think it would hurt either one of them. A full-on drop might hurt something, but just a simple bump probably wouldn't. These are very, very durable lenses, all metal construction, and uh, given any reasonable amount of care, they'll. It's, I don't particularly like the term, but they would probably last you a lifetime. So anyway, 135 push pull zoom Nikkor. Uh, Nice lens. You can find them online pretty cheap, and that's one of the reasons too that I say they're a sleeper lens. They're similar lenses, which are no better, that bring 2 or 3 times as much money. So have a look. Thanks for watching, and I'll may do a few more lens reviews in the future, along with I hope some sample photos. By the way, the sharpest lens I've ever tested, and I used to be big on testing lenses, and by far the sharpest lens I ever tested was a Voigtlander lens. Uh, uh, well, I'll get into that another time, but it was a Voigtlander lens in Nikon mount, uh, and it even beat Leica lenses that I've tested. But that's a story for another day. Thanks for watching. Take care.